The reason your life hasn't changed is because you're still defending the man who ruined it. You want to evolve? Then bury him. Rewrite an identity isn't optional, it's survival. Either you kill the old you or he kills every dream you've got left. The truth is, you've never actually met yourself. You've only met the version that society programmed, your environment tolerated, and your fears allowed to live. From the moment you were born, you were being shaped, not raised. They dressed you, named you, fed you lies, handed you a phone, and told you how to exist. They whispered expectations into your ears until you believed those thoughts were your own. But deep down, there's a voice, a violent, primal voice, screaming for you to break out of the script you were forced to memorize. That voice is the real you, the untamed version. The man who doesn't ask permission to be powerful, the man who rewrites his identity, not with thoughts, but with decisions carved in discomfort and blood. The reason you're stuck is because you think who you are is permanent. You look in the mirror and see a man defined by his past, mistakes, trauma, limitations, and you accept it like a death sentence. This is just how I am. No, it's not. That's how you chose to remain. You weren't born weak. You weren't born anxious. You weren't born passive. You became those things through the slow erosion of your soul by excuses, softness, and cowardice. And the longer you cling to that version of yourself, the further you drift from who you were meant to become. Life doesn't change until you do. But you've been too afraid to let go of your fake identity because it's all you've ever known. They told you to stay humble. They told you to play it safe. They told you to be realistic. You thought they were protecting you. They were limiting you. The man you were supposed to be got buried beneath that nonsense. The world doesn't want you dangerous. It wants you predictable, obedient, scared to upset the balance. That's why they praise mediocrity and punish aggression. Because once a man decides he's no longer who he used to be, once he rewrites his identity through pain and precision, he becomes uncontrollable. And the system hates that. But you owe the system nothing. You owe yourself everything. People think identity is a personality type. They treat it like a trait on a birth certificate, permanent, static, unchangeable. But identity is war. It's built in moments where no one's watching and you have to choose between comfort and character. Every time you skip the gym, you reaffirm weakness. Every time you stay silent when you should speak, you reinforce cowardice. Every time you let fear make your choices, you hand over the pen that writes your story. Your identity is not written in your blood, it's written in your behavior. And until your actions align with the man you claim you want to be, you're just a liar in disguise. You want motivation? Here's motivation. You are one decision away from killing the version of yourself that's been holding you hostage. You don't need to wait for January. You don't need a sign from the universe. The old you is standing on thin ice. One bold move, one commitment without compromise, and you shatter him forever. And in his place, you build a new code, a new voice, a new man. You weren't meant to be ordinary, but you can't become legendary if you're still dragging around the corpse of who you used to be. Cut the rope, bury the past, and walk like a man who refuses to be anything but unstoppable. If you've ever felt like you were meant for more, it's because you were. That feeling isn't arrogance, it's memory. Your soul remembers who you're supposed to become, but the world buried it in fear. And now you've got to dig it out with your bare hands. That means suffering, that means discomfort, that means rebuilding from scratch. You're not going to become unrecognizable by staying safe. Growth is violence against your current limitation. You want to become someone new? Then you have to kill everything that isn't him. You can't rewrite your identity if you're still playing the same old scenes. So stop telling yourself the story that you're too broken to change. You're not broken. You're undeveloped. You're untested. You're a man who's never been pushed hard enough to meet his potential, but that ends now. Because every time you push past the point of pain, you rewrite the script. Every cold shower, every rep in the gym when your body's screaming, every disciplined choice when no one's watching, those are the letters, the words, chapters of your new identity. And it's not something you get handed, it's something you earn in the silence when the world thinks you're losing, but you're actually rebuilding the foundation of a man who cannot be ignored. You're not a victim of your story, you are the author, and every single day you have two choices, repeat or reinvent. Most people will spend their entire lives repeating the same thoughts, the same failures, the same mediocre identity wrapped in 1,000 excuses. But you're not like them. You're here because you know somewhere deep inside that the pen is in your hand and the blank page is waiting. You don't need permission to become great. You just need the courage to start writing. I remember being broke, not just in the wallet, but in the spirit. Waking up in a cold room with nothing but silence and shame. You stare at the ceiling and realize your life is a script you didn't write. Every hour you're alive, you're repeating a story that disgusts you. Same routine, same failures, same weak internal voice telling you maybe one day. But that day never comes because you never decide to make it today. I wasn't born a winner, I became one. And the moment it started, the moment I got violently sick of my own reflection. That's when everything changed. When I realized the man in the mirror was a character I was playing, not a destiny I was cursed with. One night I sat in that tiny apartment and said it out loud, not whispered, said it with force. This isn't who I am anymore. And it sounded ridiculous. Who was I to declare that? I was broke, unknown, ignored by the world. But that sentence was the first brick in a new foundation. Because most men never say that. Most men accept their chains and polish them like trophies. I said it like a war cry. And that night, I didn't sleep. I planned. Not goals, not dreams, actions. I rewrote my identity with intention. From this moment on, every decision I make will build the man I was meant to be. That one sentence was worth more than 10 years of comfort. You think the world is going to hand you a new life just because you want it? The world doesn't care. It responds to force, and not just violence. I'm talking about relentless focus, savage discipline, and a level of self-belief that scares people. That's the currency of transformation. So I started small, early mornings, ice cold showers. No more junk food, no more time wasted, no more distractions. But here's what nobody tells you. It's not the actions that are hard. It's shedding the identity that wants to skip them. It's murdering the version of yourself that whispers, we'll start tomorrow. That man has to die. Because as long as he lives, the real you remains in a cage. There was this moment, months into the grind, where everything inside me snapped. I remember I was jogging in the dark, rain slapping my face, no headphones, no motivation, just sheer willpower. I was drenched, muscles aching, lungs burning, and every step felt like rebellion, not against the world, but against the man I used to be. I wasn't running from pain. I was running through it, because pain is the forge. Every drop of sweat, every second of suffering was another nail in the coffin of the coward I left behind. And as I kept going, it hit me. This isn't punishment. This is creation. I'm building the man I once thought was a fantasy. People will ask, how did you become this? They want a shortcut, a secret. They think it was luck or talent or some divine gift. No, it was war. A daily war against doubt, laziness, temptation, and the urge to remain average. Rewriting your identity means destroying comfort with brutal consistency. I didn't climb out of hell by being motivated. I crawled out with blood in my teeth and fire in my chest, refusing to quit, even when everything inside me screamed to stop. You don't wake up transformed, you bleed into it. And as I changed, so did the world. Not because it got easier, but because I got dangerous. People started to treat me differently. Not because I asked, but because I commanded it through presence, discipline, and undeniable proof that I had rewritten the script. That's when you know it's real, when even your enemies start to respect you, not because they like you, but because they fear what you've become when you walk into a room and the energy shifts. That doesn't come from pretending. It comes from earning it in the dark, alone, when no one claps, no one watches, and no one believes in you except you. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the labels people gave you when they were projecting their own failures. You are what you do today and tomorrow and the day after that. If your actions reflect the man you dream of being, you're already becoming him. But if your days are filled with compromise and softness, then stop lying to yourself. You don't want it bad enough, because once you really want it, you'll destroy anything that stands in your way, including the old you. The man I am today was born in a storm, not a physical one, but a storm of self-hate, brutal truth, and relentless accountability. Every weakness was exposed, every excuse was crushed. And in that storm, I forged a new name, a new voice, a new legacy. That's what rewriting your identity is. It's the most personal war you'll ever fight, and it's worth every scar, because once you become that man, you'll never go back. You'll look in the mirror and see someone unrecognizable, not because you faked it, but because you built it. Let me ask you something you probably avoid. What if you never become the man you keep pretending you're going to be? That version of you in your head, the strong, disciplined, respected version you think you're destined to turn into someday? What if he never arrives? What if you wake up 10 years from now, look in the mirror, and realize you wasted every single day waiting for a future that required today's sacrifice? That's not a nightmare. That's reality for most men. They die as strangers to the greatness that once whispered inside them. The fear you're running from isn't failure. It's mediocrity. It's the gut-wrenching terror of living a quiet, average life while being haunted by potential. That potential isn't a promise, it's a test. The universe gives you a glimpse of who you could become, then watches to see if you're man enough to fight for it. And most of you won't. You'll keep scrolling, keep sleeping in, keep making excuses wrapped in clever words. But let me tell you what nobody will say. Time doesn't care about your excuses. Time is the executioner. It watches you waste your prime and then it buries you with your regrets. There is a clock above your head, and every second you hesitate, it ticks louder. Tomorrow is the most dangerous drug in the world. It gives you comfort in the moment while robbing your legacy behind your back. Men think they're eternal. They act like they've got decades to figure it out. But death doesn't send warnings. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It shows up mid-scroll, mid-sentence, mid-delusion, and it ends your chances forever. The scariest thought isn't dying. It's dying as nobody. That's why identity must be rewritten now, not later. You think the pain of discipline is hard? Wait till you feel the pain of regret. You think waking up early, hitting the gym, ignoring distractions is tough? Try living with the fact that you had every chance and threw it away because it was uncomfortable. The truth is this: comfort is killing you. It's the invisible poison coating every soft decision you make. And the worst part, it feels good while it's destroying you. That's how most people stay slaves, laughing while they're dying slowly. But here's the twist they won't expect. You can rewrite it all. You can stop the decay. You can kill the coward that's living in your skin. Because identity isn't something you're born with. It's something you choose every day, in every action, in every refusal to quit when it's easier to give up. You're not stuck. You're just scared to face what it takes to become him. You know what has to be done? You're just hoping there's an easier way. There isn't. Becoming the man you admire is the most brutal journey on earth, but it's also the most rewarding. Every second you delay is another second you're disrespecting your potential. Read that again, let it hit. Because you don't get to live the life of a king with the work ethic of a peasant. You don't get to command respect if you fold every time life pushes back. This isn't about money or fame. It's about looking in the mirror and not hating yourself. It's about walking through life knowing you're not faking it, not performing, but actually living as the version of you that was once just an idea. That's power. That's identity. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to feel the fire. That fire is your soul screaming for evolution. The voice that says you should be more than this. That's not a delusion. That's the real you trying to surface. But he won't appear until you earn him. Until you suffer, bleed, sweat, and rise. The real you doesn't respond to motivation. He responds to consequences. And the consequence of inaction is becoming invisible in your own life. People will ignore this and wonder why they feel numb. They'll look for hacks, for balance, for comfort, and they'll die wondering why nothing changed. But the man who hears this, really hears it, he'll stop lying. He'll stop waiting. He'll say, if I keep living like this, I'm finished. That's when the rebirth begins. Not in the gym, not in the books. In the moment you decide that the old version of you isn't allowed to breathe another day. This is war, not with the world, with your weakness, with your fears, with the identity they gave you at birth. Tear it up, rewrite every line. I am not who I was. Say it until it burns. Say it until your actions match. Say it until the man inside you finally steps forward and says, it's about time. You don't become a new man by waiting. You become a new man by killing the one who's holding you back, the soft, scared version of you, the one that hesitates, the one that makes plans but never executes. That version has to die right now. You think transformation is about affirmations or visualizing success? It's not. It's about standing in the fire and refusing to step out until your soul forges something unrecognizable to weakness. Identity isn't a thought, it's a decision followed by discipline. And the only reason you haven't become who you're meant to be is because you haven't suffered enough to demand it. You want change? Then stop clinging to comfort. You can't rewrite who you are while still defending the habits that destroyed you. But I'm tired. Then be tired and win anyway. But I don't feel like it. Then act despite your feelings. That's what separates boys from men. Men act while boys talk. You've spent years rehearsing your future in your mind and 0 hours bleeding for it in reality. It's not that you lack potential. It's that you've been afraid of becoming unrecognizable. Because deep down, you know rewriting identity means losing everyone who knew the old you. That's why it's so rare. Because becoming who you truly are is the loneliest war you'll ever fight. Do you think kings were born in warm beds and handed the crown? No, they were forged in nights of silence, sacrifice, and self-confrontation. You don't earn power until you've had enough of being powerless. You don't get to speak with authority until your actions have screamed louder than your words. A man becomes powerful the day he stops begging for permission to exist. Read it again. You don't owe the world your compliance. You owe yourself your evolution. And evolution doesn't happen on accident. It happens when you take the pain, the shame, the doubt, and turn it into fuel. The world isn't going to stop to validate your journey. That's not its job. Its job is to test your commitment. Every obstacle is a question. Do you really want this? And most of you are answering no with your actions every day. You skip the grind. You pick comfort. You justify quitting with soft language like rest and balance. But what you're really saying is, I'm afraid of becoming the man I admire. Because becoming him means changing everything. And that's terrifying when you spent your whole life playing safe. But listen closely. You don't get to keep your old life and create a new one at the same time. You must burn the bridge. You must outgrow the lies. You must become allergic to the mediocrity you used to tolerate. That's what rewriting identity means. Not tweaking your image, not posting motivational quotes, but actually living in a way that makes your old self embarrassed to have ever existed. Your new identity isn't built in the spotlight. It's built when nobody's watching and you still refuse to cut corners. You think you've got time, but time has you. It's holding you by the throat. And the clock doesn't negotiate with men who delay. He who waits loses momentum, and a man without momentum is just a corpse in motion. That's what they won't tell you. That every time you snooze your potential, the universe takes it as a sign you're not ready. That every time you compromise, you're building the identity of a quitter. One small, cowardly act at a time. So flip the script. Rewire the programming. Replace every excuse with action. Replace every distraction with discipline. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need to stop romanticizing comfort and start worshiping responsibility. Because nothing rewrites identity like brutal ownership. Stop blaming your past, your parents, your pain. Start treating your scars like armor. The most dangerous man is the one who's made peace with pain. Why? Because nothing rattles him. Nothing deters him. He doesn't flinch when it's hard. He's hunted hard for years, and now he's immune. And that's who you must become. The man who doesn't fold under pressure but multiplies under it. The man who doesn't chase validation but demands respect by the sheer force of his example. The man who doesn't fear judgment because he knows the crowd will never understand the lion. That's identity. And it's not given. It's earned in silence, revealed through action, and proven over time. So if you're serious, really serious, then understand this. There will never be a sign. Never a perfect day, never a green light. You are the signal, you are the day, you are the permission. The new you is already inside. He's just suffocating under your comfort. Dig him out, starve your weakness, feed your power, and move like a man who refuses to die with potential still rotting inside him. This is not motivation. This is your wake-up call. Rewrite yourself or be written off by life. This is the part where most people walk away. Right here. At the edge, where they feel the fire rising inside, but they choose silence. Where they glimpse their future in the mirror and still choose to be slaves to their past. But I'm not here for those people. I'm not speaking to the weak voice in your head. You've heard that voice your whole life. I'm speaking to the one underneath it, the voice that's been whispering that you were made for more, even when the world tried to convince you otherwise. This isn't a speech. It's a challenge. And it begins with a decision. Are you finally going to rewrite who you are, or are you going to keep pretending that the man in the mirror is someone else's responsibility? You want clarity? You want direction? Good. Here it is. No one's coming. No mentor is about to show up and hand you a blueprint. No miracle is going to appear out of thin air. The man you're hoping to become, you have to build him. You, with the hours you waste, with the habits you dodge, with the discipline you keep postponing, that's your responsibility. And you already know what needs to be done. You've always known. But you've been lying to yourself, telling yourself you're waiting for the right moment. Once I get this figured out, then I'll start. But you and I both know that's fear dressed up as logic, and fear has ruled your life long enough. It's time to exile it. You want power, then act like it, move like it, speak like it. Every action from today must scream, I'm not the man I used to be. That's how you rewrite identity. Not by talking about change, but by becoming so radically committed to your future that your past becomes irrelevant. A man isn't reborn until he kills the version of himself that was comfortable being average. That's the line you draw today. You sever ties with comfort. You cut off excuses like dead weight. You stop being loyal to your limitations. Because the truth is, most people don't lack motivation. They lack the balls to admit they're scared of their own greatness, but not you. Not anymore. From this moment forward, you are not allowed to refer to yourself as the victim. You don't get to say, I can't without evidence. You don't get to hide behind your upbringing, your pain, or your past mistakes. That's old language. That's the dialect of failure. Your new language is action, precision, ruthlessness, ownership. Every morning you wake up, you ask one question. What does the man I'm becoming do today? And then you do it, even if it breaks you, even if no one notices, even if it feels like nothing's changing, because deep down, you know the shift is happening. Quietly, relentlessly, and soon, it'll be undeniable. Let them talk, let them laugh, let them doubt you. They're supposed to. That's the world's way of testing if your transformation is real. If you crumble at criticism, your identity was never solid. But if you keep walking eyes forward, back straight, day after day, soon, they won't recognize you. They'll say you've changed, and you'll say, thank God. Because staying the same was killing you slowly. You were dying in silence, in comfort, in the illusion of safety, but not anymore. You've chosen the warpath. You've chosen to fight for the man you were always meant to be. And that decision is rare. That decision is dangerous. That decision is freedom. Do not seek applause. Do not seek permission. Seek dominance over your mind, your emotions, your actions. The game is mental first. If you win here, you win everywhere else. Every workout, every late night, every early morning, they're not tasks, they're rituals. They're how gods are sculpted. You are rewriting your biology. You are reprogramming the system. You are becoming something most men will never understand. They'll ask how you did it. They'll ask what changed. And the answer will be simple. I stopped lying to myself. I stopped waiting. I started moving. You want to build a legacy? Then move like your last name matters. You want to feel purpose? Then carry weight heavier than your excuses. You want to change your life? Then stop dabbling in change like it's a hobby and marry the mission. Because identity doesn't shift through curiosity, it shifts through obsession. Through commitment that doesn't take weekends off, through decisions that feel like sacrifices now, but become your crown later. The man who sacrifices comfort today becomes the king of tomorrow, and you were never built to bow. This is the line in the sand. This is the choice that divides your story. You either step forward and rise, or you stay back and rot. There is no in between. There never was. Every second you hesitate, the old identity gets stronger. Every day you delay, the future you crave drifts further away. This isn't a game, this is your life. And whether you realize it or not, you're already rewriting your identity every single day. The only question is, are you rewriting it into greatness or mediocrity? It's time to become the man who refuses to waste one more breath living below his potential. No more waiting, no more talking, no more pretending. From this moment on, everything you do must echo one truth. I am not who I was. I am becoming who I was born to be. So get up, move, bleed, build, break limits, rebuild, move again. You've been warned, you've been challenged, you've been chosen. Now become him.